is there any other purpose for business than making profits?
Let me take the lead, okay?
Please.
So to me, because this morning I wrote an article, every Thursday I write an article, so I wrote an article that sustainable leadership or the sustainability is the core. And you know that there are many ethical companies, so how normally the analyst rating, suppose you are a publicly traded company, so our the normal people have a common myth that the profit. But the true things that most of the companies are reporting at the triple bottom line: people, planet, and the profit. So the other part, people and planets are equally important. So that's why the good ethical company, those who are thinking beyond their lifetime, they have to care for all the three. So profit is important, the purpose is more important than profit.
Are you suggesting that profits are important, but how profits are made is more important than mere profit seeking?
Absolutely. If you see that the Enron, okay, since I was a management consultant, so I was with Pricewaterhouse. My competitor at that time was an Arthur Andersen. I saw that how the people are jumping from the Enron building and their Enron share, everybody was investing their Enron 401k. Somebody at the nearly retirement age, when he saw his money is just zero, he's jumped. And I personally suffered in 2008. The night before, my portfolio value was $1 million. Within a day, it was become few penny, because I was a partner. That's the year I became a partner with a KPMG Consulting. So our banker was a Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers filed a bankruptcy, Goldman Sachs filed a bankruptcy. Within 7 days, we filed a bankruptcy. And you know how hard to become a partner in a consulting company, that too in this skin color, living in United States and fighting with the white Caucasian. So I got a blood sugar out of that. Then I started realizing that what is the profit? The purpose need to be most important. So that's why the ethical company, look at the ITC is one of the perfect example. It's a Calcutta based company. ITC have been reporting the triple bottom line for a long time. So planet, yeah, the planet is so important. If there's no planet, there's what you will do with the profit.
Okay, I would like to hear the lawyer's views on this.
So I feel like I'm in a room full of industry who are leading the front with the triple bottom line, and I echo Shankuda's sentiment that there eventually will be no profit if you don't look at people and planet. And I've had the privilege of working with a lot of us, the companies over here represented in this room, and I can say that most of them, rather all of them, the ones that I've worked with, have looked at people and planet very strongly when working towards profit. It goes hand in hand, in my opinion, and it's not an exclusive situation. It's not an or situation. It's an and situation.
Now we have a advertising expert here, and one thing which is very common is greenwashing. Okay, companies make big claims, but they propaganda tries to hide the ills that companies do. So how do you bring this ethical advertisement into your field?
So interesting question, because see, when we talk about responsible or planet-friendly consumerism, there's a very shining example that you come across, and I love this example, and I keep showing it to my daughter because we are all so addicted to fast fashion today's day and age, and you have it on social media. They're goading you to buy, even if you don't want to buy. It's coming up. It'll come on your Instagram. It comes on your Facebook. It comes on every social media vehicle. So I keep telling her it's not necessary that buy what you need, not what you want. And there is one ad which I keep showing her, she's 15, is that there is this company called Patagonia. You must have read about it, or it's commonly talked about. They launched a new jacket a few years back, and they said, the headline said, don't buy it. And then they gave a list of this thing. You only buy it if you really need it. But if you buy it, you're going to stuck with it because we use very environment friendly material, natural stuff, and subscribe to the strictest of the labor laws, and they give you a few reasons which are very, while they're making money, which are very planet friendly and people friendly, that after a point you're saying, okay, if I buy this jacket, it's going to be with me for a long time, but there is respect for the brand. Now they're a $600 million company. So obviously consumers are seeking it, and investors are rewarding it, and of course, the employers want to work there. So you have three things going. If it's not just profit, if there's also some kind of purpose.
A bit biased towards my left hand side. Okay, let me bring in a different perspective. We have a gentleman who represents Lux Cozy. For long, I always believed that only Hollywood actors can afford that brand because they have been the brand ambassadors. Okay, now when we talk about apparel or undergarments, a lot of cotton, and there are a lot of supply chain related issues are there. Okay, how the pesticides are used, and we are very familiar with farmers' suicides, and how a responsible company like Lux Cozy handles these issues.
I think all of the organization has got one ethos, is how the leadership vision look like. If the leadership has a clarity in thought, what it wants out of the organization in times to come, is it only profit, or is it making a holistic development of the society, the planet altogether? So then there are people in the function department who are focused on ESG, ESH, all of this part which is actually taking care of beyond profit issues. So whenever there are certain issues of farmers or the bottom line not doing well, as much as it is dependent on government norms, it is also dependent on the company to do something about it. And wherever Lux see there is a impetus, there is something which they can resonate with the long-term vision of Lux, they contribute, they see it as a value addition not only for the stakeholders who are interested in profit or shares, but they take care of all the stakeholders, the trade partners, the employees, the customers per se, to build a brand which is going to stay for long. So if I am greedy, I am going to make good profit out of it. I have to be a very stronger brand beyond just the quality of the product or the cost of the product. So
a very important point, that leadership determines how a company behaves and what it does. Moving there, sir, what are your views on, should companies have a purpose beyond profit? That's the simplest question.
So when you look at a company, if you take a step back and look at a family, we are all parents. We are building up our families and our kids. So if you relate the roles, as parents, we are the promoters and entrepreneurs. The kid is our company, the child is our company, and we are growing up to give him a future. What do you want to do to your child? You want him to be educated. You want him to be capable of earning enough money to sustain himself, but you don't want him to earn that money the non-ethical way. So if you take this analogy into, as an entrepreneur, I am a part entrepreneur, part professional. So when you look at the company, profit, people, planet, and if you look at this, obviously you have to make profit, otherwise you cannot sustain this. But how do you deploy that profit in using it on your people, and how do you take the company forward? What structure you give the company? Are you really giving it that? So as a company, you have your own people, and then you have to give it back to the environment. So are you giving it back to the environment consciously? Are you creating something which will leave the legacy of the company, like you want to leave the legacy of your child? You want your child to be successful. Are you taking that much of care of the company to be legacy that way? Are you taking that much of care of your people? So if you work on it in that way, then you will actually see that you can actually think differently. So I say this because I have transitioned from a role which used to be very, very profit driven, not really focused on, there it was like bottom line was important, top line and bottom line. I've transitioned that from a role where I understood that yes, profit is important, but then you have to give it back. So when ESG compliance has come and the other compliance has come, it is not that compliances is driving us to do that. It is also how as you as an individual want to leave that legacy with the company. Do you want to create a company which will give back to the society or not is your call. So as a parent, when we take a call that my child should not earn the non-ethical way, but should earn the ethical way, the same deployment should go to the company. So that's an analogy which I would like to leave to all of you here.
I think comparing a child and a company is a wonderful way of putting things in perspective. Basha garu.
Yeah. So across consumer products, so one of the philosophy great companies, great brands have is what is good for consumer is good for us. Okay, so that's a starting point. So I don't need to go and tell consumer I don't use mercury in my dry cell battery, but I'll ensure this is happening because I know it's not good for environment. I don't want my detergent powder to be harmful for her, and above all, you add lot of relevance in terms of which target you are, whether you are targeting SECA, I mean slightly upward mobile, and we have to give them value for money for everyone. So in this entire process, the great brands, great organizations ensure the back end is taken care without shouting much. You asked one commercial, I have 20 seconds, I have to talk about my new detergent powder. I will not talk about I have less STPP, but I'll tell her confidently it will not harm your hands. I think great brands, I am very fortunate few. Eveready I joined 5 months back. This is my 7th 100-year-old brand which I am interacting. You worked with Unilever, I covered 5. Then I worked with Britannia, it's 100-year-old brand. Then I was with Del Monte and this. I did a lot of work as not only as an employee or a manager or whichever role. The brands itself, they are all personalities. They kept themselves very relevant. They forced companies to stick to their ethics and values. You cannot have Lifebuoy doing wrong things to you or anything. If you go to Jharkhand, my largest selling soap is Lifebuoy. You go to Andhra Pradesh, Santur is the soap, it sells everywhere. This is one common thread I have seen. Consumer products, consumer products don't shout about all these things, but they do it. It goes hand in hand. What you want to shout to the consumer, because for me every household is a potential household and it's more responsibility for us. So it's all philosophy driven. What is good for consumer is good for me, what is good for the country is good for me. You keep doing. Like example, what is good for country is good for me means I should be a good taxpayer. So this cuts across the entire, the brand, category, the way we do. I think these are one of the reasons why they are very relevant, why they are still number one in all these categories. It goes without saying. So if you are not concerned about everything, you don't need to shout, you don't need to make PR out of that, but everyone is conscious. Whether it's a compliance or non-compliance, we manage those things are there.
No, wonderful. I think companies are increasingly involving themselves, are becoming conscious and doing good things to protect their brand. I think, which is, unless the brand survives, longevity and many other things which are associated.
And also sometimes every brand has got no direct answer. Like example, if I am in a washing powder, I am going to consume a lot of water. So brand cannot do anything, but company does, okay, let me go to Maharashtra and do a lot of water preservations. Whether you call it CSR, whether we do, because there's a purpose. Okay, so Lifebuoy hand wash.
The innovations that are driving, as you are talking about
innovation drive,
less water consuming detergents and many other things
everything
that companies.
Purpose. Today, if I am going to launch a hand wash and ensuring every kid in India to wash their hands with soap, any soap, because there are a lot of data, almost 1/3 of kids in rural India dies because of diarrhea. That is how I call is a purpose. I make money. I am here business. I am in the business to make money. I'll ensure that consumer is paying right price and I'm giving good value, and also I'm giving it back